Good morning, everybody. How are you? You don't have to repeat. I know you are on mute.
Good
This
morning.
time. Well, thank you so much, Shelby, for that amazing introduction. And early morning here in the United States. I am calling in, reaching you from Michigan, Oklamas, Michigan, where I live with my family. And like Shelby said, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I want to thank you for your leadership. What an amazing leader you are. I met Shelby and Jacoby, his brother, and their parents. And since then, we've been buddies. We visit each other when I'm in London, and here we are. Now, welcome to all of you, student council, your teachers, and your guide, or your uh, administration that allowed me to speak to you today. I am going to request to share my screen. And once I get my screen shared, I do know that we have limited time. So today I will give you highlights of what we do in Uganda. In interest of time, I want to leave some time for you to be able to ask me questions, and then few questions. Then later in March, I know your teachers have shared with you that I'll be coming back to do a workshop and more long speeches and more workshops to learn more about the work we do in Uganda and how each one of us can be the change agents we want to see in this world. So let me attempt sharing screen, which is always a challenge for me, but do you see something?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. So like Shelby said, my name is Twesje Jackson Kaguri. I was born and raised in a tiny village in Uganda, so tiny that you can't actually find it on Google Maps, so tiny that most of you, unless you were born in a village, which I'm sure from learning from your teacher that many of you are born and raised either in cities or around the world in urban areas. This tiny village has a population of 250,000 people. I was born one of 5 children, my mom and dad. Mom has passed away, but dad is still alive, cannot read and write a single thing in English. So in the world of education where you are, mom and dad are considered illiterate. That means they cannot read and speak in English. But in my world, my mom and dad are my superheroes, and they are the genius that I consider the most genius people in the world. And I will tell you why. Mom and dad can't read and write in English, but they sent 5 children to school. Now, when I was growing up in 1970s, you could not go to school unless you pay. And mom and dad didn't have jobs like your moms and dads, but they had chickens, they had goats, and they grew food that we ate around. They would sell that little food and chickens and goats and save money and send one child at a time. By the time I was born, I am the last born in the family. They had ran out of money, out of chickens, out of goats, out of cows. And now mom and dad were trying to delay me from going to school so they can save more money. But I remember to go to school in my village, you had also to have a pencil in your hand. If you appeared at school and didn't have a pencil, you would be sent back home to get a pencil. Because many children, parents didn't have money to buy a pencil, many would stop going to school. So my mom and dad are considered geniuses for me because they figured out that with 5 children, they can actually buy one pencil and send all of us to school. So they would buy one pencil, take that pencil, break it. One for Jackson, I'm the little one for my sister, another one for my sister, all the way to the 5th. So I went to school, ladies and gentlemen, using a 5th of a pencil. The teacher said you have to have a pencil, but they didn't say how long that pencil had to be. So my father and my mother, for me, they are geniuses because they figured out they could save money and still educate their children. And that's how I got to get my education. I went through primary school, secondary school, went to university in Uganda, then ended up getting a scholarship to study human rights at Columbia University in New York. While I was at Columbia University, my oldest brother died, and my sister also died of HIV/AIDS. That's how I ended up starting the work I did. So for me, as a child, I saw so many injustices in my village and figured, I don't know what injustice means. I don't know what treating another person uh, unequally from the other one means. I didn't have words. But when I studied human rights, I learned that there is injustice in my village, injustice for men who beat their wives, injustice for women who can't go to school because they are women, injustice for children who don't have money but can't go to school, injustice for parents who didn't figure out a fifth of a pencil and their children didn't go to school. And once I learned about those injustices, I said to myself, I must do something about this. So I went back to the village where I was born and raised after I finished my school and built a school that will take care of children who don't have mummies and daddies. And that is what Nyaka does. Nyaka, as you can see the child in that picture, you will see that these children don't have mommy, don't have daddy, but look at how big they smile. Look at the structure of their faces and the classes they are sitting in. And for you student council leaders, I want you to ask yourself, what keeps your face frowned? Why are you not smiling as big as these orphans in rural areas of Uganda? And in questions you can ask me, I have some ideas why. I took a vision, just one person vision, one person idea, and put it to practice. And today, as I speak to you, I want you to know that I'm not speaking to you to say admire and clap for Mr. Kaguri. I want you to see yourself doing something in the world because one person can indeed make a difference. If Shelby had kept quiet about meeting me, but all of you would not have learned about Nyaka. He's done his part. He supports organization in Uganda. You can do your part and support your ideas wherever those ideas are. So that's an entrance of Nyaka School, the school I started 20 years ago before many of you and your teachers were born. The origin of the school gets back into 2001. My, as I have told you, my brother had passed away because of HIV/AIDS, which was one of the factors, but not the only one. Injustice was the underlying factor, looking at people who have dreams and aspirations, but lack just the basic need like food, basic need like education, basic need like basic health care, or somebody to just touch them and say, it's okay, you can do this. And that's what Nyaka has done. So in this picture here, you see Nyaka School. It's not only one school. In this picture here, you will see another school that I built later, and you will see more. But the way we do the work we do, since we have limited time, is summarized in a holistic approach. Holistic approach here means we not only look at education, classroom, pencils, we also look at where do these kids go to sleep. We also make sure that these children like each other regardless of their differences. We instill in them a giving spirit, not only giving, like you think of giving money, but also giving your time. A good example I chose for you here is a child who is disabled and basically crawls on his knees to come to school. This child here, every day, he doesn't have a wheelchair. He doesn't have somebody to push him on a bicycle. So kids take turns to go to his home every morning, pick him, like you see right there, pick him on their shoulders and bring him to school. When he has to go to the bathroom, they do the same thing. In the evening, they take turns to take him home. And when you look at this picture and think how you guys make fun of each other, bully each other at school, write each nasty stuff to each other in text messaging, this is the message for you that you can actually give somebody something they don't have, even at your school, including stopping bullying and stopping being nasty to each other. This is the way we started. I want you to see the dream from beginning and where it is. When we started right here, Nyaka, I had used only $5,000 I had saved to buy a house here in the United States. I took that $5,000, built those 2 classrooms, and today you can see the high school that we have completed. This high school has laboratories, it has solar power, it has infrastructure that you need, it even has skyscrapers. Ladies and gentlemen, in my village, having a building on top of another one is such a big deal. And it was during the building of this campus that I met Shelby and Jacoby. And these two guys sold their uh, toys on the street and donated money in a campaign we called Brick to Brick. So Shelby has some bricks he bought in that building that made it possible. You also, I know, have done so much around the world, and I encourage you to continue making a difference in the world because it is so much needed. Moving forward, what we do, the holistic approach I explained it to you includes education, and these are embedded in what we call human rights. I want you to know that when you hear human rights, most of the time, you hear of political and social rights. You've heard President Trump and people who jumped at the Capitol in the United States. You've heard of presidential elections in Uganda and how the president of Uganda turned off internet. You've heard of racial injustice where people are discriminating others based on their color. You've heard of police brutality. Under all those human rights, there is what we call basic human rights. What you, your mom, your dad, your teachers must have in order to survive in this world. And those are 5 basic human rights. You need education, you need food, you need water, you need food including water, you need health care, you need employment, and you do need where to stay, shelter or housing. So Nyaka does all 5. And those are the 5 I'm going to highlight. Then I will pause and you can ask me questions because I know you have limited time. We do education in the classroom. As you can see, all our children they get uniform, they get shoes, and they get pencils, not a fifth of the pencil. We make sure that these children have the best teachers they can have. We train those teachers to make sure they can challenge our students in every aspect of work. We make sure that our children have food. The second one. Food, in this picture, you see bread. I chose this picture of bread because we are about to build our own bakery. For the first time, our students will be able to participate, make bakery, eat the bread they are making, but also sell more bread to other people. We make sure that our children have clean water, they have food, 2 meals a day. We have a farm, they participate in farming. Participation is key here. And we also built clean water systems so every kid can have water to drink, but also water to take a shower. Many of you will go to the toilet after this presentation and you flush water at your school. When you flush that toilet, 7 liters of water have gone down the sink. 1 billion people around the world don't have clean water. The water you flush at our school and in my house here is 100% drinkable, clean water. So when we think we are doing these things, I want us to remember what's out there in the world and also be aware of what we can do to change that. We make sure that our students have health care. We make sure they have libraries. We make sure they have a place to stay. The place to stay is with grandmothers. But the grandmothers we say here are not biological grandmothers of these children. They are women who have accepted to adopt them, take them in, and care for them. But we also go and empower these grandmothers so they don't have to continue asking for money. We teach them skills to take care of themselves. The grandmothers work hard. They You can see they don't have shoes, but that doesn't stop them from smiling. That doesn't stop them from dreaming big. We make sure that these grandmothers have what to wear and invest in their children's lives. But we also have a program where we take care of children who have been sexually assaulted. This is a big problem in rural areas, especially during the COVID. Many children were staying home with perpetrators who continued to sexual assault them, are boys and girls. And we take this program seriously and go to police, work with prosecutors, and put these perpetrators in jail. so our children can be safe. It's a program, we call it Enough is Enough. All the damage that has been done, we must stop it. When you see something, you must say something about it. That's what we call our grassroots fight. That's our amazing leader on the village who does this work. And I know part of what our work was recently featured in The Guardian in the UK. Nyaka is registered in the UK, it's registered in Canada, and in United States. We continue to do this work. We serve 15,000 grandmothers who are caring for 85,000 children. All that with one vision, one man's dream, but I'm not doing it alone now. Nyaka is actually called Nyaka Global for a reason, that this vision has gone to South Korea, to Brazil, to Venezuela, to Australia, so many other children can have an opportunity to learn. Your teachers have, if they don't already have books I have written, have links to Cornerstone, the movie, 42 minutes documentary on YouTube. I know many of you like to watch YouTube. You can go find out more, but I want to spare some time for you to ask me questions. It is possible to do this work. If I can do it coming from a fifth of a pencil, you can do it, because I know you have way many pencils in your backpacks than the pencils I have ever seen in my life. Thank you, student council leaders. Thank you, teachers. And thank you, Shelby, for introducing me to these amazing people.